Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today I'm going to be taking up more of your questions in another segment of Ask Judy. If you enjoy these, please do hit like and subscribe. Just a reminder for all of you about my upcoming production of On Golden Pond in Big Bear Lake, California. If you are available to come out and see the show, we'd love to have you. Ticket information here is on the screen. This is a question from Bill West, and he was asking if I happened to have a chance to talk with David Doremus, if I could ask him this. And since I recently saw David at the Cherry Blossom Festival, I did indeed ask him. He said he was a big fan of Nanny and the Professor, and he wanted to know if David remembers the Apollo space rocket model that was in an episode. And he believed he saw it on a shelf in his bedroom, and it just stuck in his mind. So I asked David, and David said, I don't remember that at all. He said he didn't really pay that much attention to the set dressing on the sets, which I get asked questions about the Waltons too. And we were busy doing the scenes. I wasn't necessarily studying what was on the walls or, the little knickknacks and set dressing and prop things. If I handled a prop, I might remember it, but hard to say. He said he remembered something about there being an Einstein thing in his bedroom on the set, but other than that, no real recollection. This is from Todd Fowler, who said, never had to worry about the saw. Easy. He's talking about Easy Jackson. Never had to worry about the saw. He never did any work. I wanted to ask you about some of the directors over the years. Who was the best, and was Harry Harris good? Did you find it easy to work with Ralph and Richard when they were directing? Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you so much. I recently did a segment about Harry Harris, and so hopefully you had a chance to see that. And yes, Harry was very easy to work with, and he was a good director. He directed with a lot of knowledge of editing because he started as an editor, so he would know what he needed to shoot. He could see as he was prepping his script how he was going to edit it all together, so he shot what he needed, which made him efficient and moved things along. So he was quick, efficient, and got it done, and knew how to put them together. He never missed footage that he needed. As for Richard and Ralph, Richard was, as an actor and as he was fun. He was lighthearted. When I spoke with him about why he didn't direct more, it just wasn't. He loves acting, and so he said he felt that he was very grateful for the team and the camera operators and all them who guided him through that experience. But I think he decided that it wasn't his passion. So he did a handful of episodes of the Waltons, but chose not to direct again. I think that if he has not directed theater, that is something that he would really enjoy because he loves theater so much. As for Ralph was always looking to create reality, to create a feel that told the story in a creative way and yet wasn't distracting. He loved the authenticity of creating life for the characters so that the movement was motivated by what the characters were doing and that it helped tell the story. And he always wanted everything to seem real. He didn't want it to seem like we were making a TV show and everything was too perfect and people were too clean. He liked them to be sweaty and covered with sawdust if they were working in the mill because that was real. I recently was looking back at something to answer a question for someone, and it's in the episode The Test, which we were talking about, where he gets up because he's heard Olivia's gotten up. And so he comes downstairs and he's talking to her. And his hair's all mussed up because he just got out of bed and probably running his hands through it. So things like that made it more real. And I think we've all caught things sometimes in shows where it's like, well, that's not real. Like women who are going to sleep or they're getting up and their makeup is perfect. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know women who leave their makeup on all night and wake up in the morning looking like their makeup was just done. I'm sorry, if I were to sleep in my makeup, I'd be all smudged in the morning. You roll over, it's going to be all over your pillow. Horrible practice to get into. So, there's a lot of things like that happen in film that aren't necessarily authentic. And Ralph was always really looking to have that authenticity. A Francine shared this. As you were describing the cinematography on the show, I thought of one scene that was shot differently to match the mood and situation of Olivia's story. I believe it was the episode where she took on a boutique job as a seamstress. That would be the episode, The Test. She was offered a New York City buying trip and an opportunity to run the town shop for her employer. Olivia is in the house, living room, alone as she looks about the room, considers her life and what she has versus a different career. The camera moves about as though we were seeing the room and its furnishings without the people among them. The camera moves like it is in Olivia's hands and the lighting set dimmer, like there is a searching for clarity. It really stuck out to me, and I thought it communicated so well something Olivia was seeing about her life. So I took a look back at that. And for one thing, it was dimmer because she comes down while it's still dark out. So, which was always a tricky kind of lighting for the cinematographers to do, because if it's night, it can't be so dark that we can't see what's going on. And yet if you put too much light on people, then it's like, well, it's supposed to be dark. So how come there's so much light? So finding a blend of enough shadow so we know it's night and yet not too much that we can't see anything that's going on. So I thought they did indeed do a lovely job with the lighting in this. And it likely was a handheld shot, which, as you mentioned, it looked like it was in Olivia's hands. Well, they will do that with the camera at times. They will literally, the camera operator will hold the camera and move it as they are walking or moving it around. So it creates that type of effect. I don't know if it's a different lens when they do that in order to keep everything in focus, or kind of how that works. But it definitely has an interesting look. And I loved your thoughts about what that represented for you in terms of Olivia's story. This is from Taylor Dunn, who said, since it was National Daughters Day yesterday, I want to hear more about the Walton sisters, including Cindy when she joined the family. Something about you and others remind me of other iconic sisters like the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus, or like the Powerpuff Girls. So you guys have a cute sisterly relationship with each other. And Yes, and we feel that. Definitely a sisterly bond. And when Leslie joined the cast, she became part of the sisterhood. And to this day, we are super, super close. And yeah, we had a lot of fun together, and we shared a lot of same activities because we were close enough in age that we were going through similar things in our lives, getting married, dealing with relationships, dealing with that challenge of working in television and having a life and things like that. So we did a lot of things together, and we still do. So I'm glad that came across on the screen as well, because we definitely felt it. This is from J.K. Sapp, who said, while watching the Easter Story when Mom comes down with polio, going to church, you have a dress on. Walking home with GW over the snow-covered logs, it looks like you have pants on. Did I see this correctly? So let's take a look back at that. Yes, indeed. When I left the house and Mom was saying, why are you taking that baseball glove? I am indeed wearing a dress. Now, when you see us in the snow, if you look at this closely, I'm wearing a coat and I'm wearing knee socks. So I can see why it might have looked like I was wearing pants. But if you catch here and there, there's points where as I'm moving, you can see my knees. So that's kind of the giveaway that I was not wearing a pair of pants at that time. So hopefully that clears it up for you. This is from Kenneth, who said, David Doremus is a delightful guy at just telling his stories. He's laid back and friendly and someone you'll invite over for a barbecue party, play cards, etc. I love the way your conversations end with the guest. Smiling faces and happy moods are standard when you end the segment. I have a question for you. Someone from the planet Pluto came to Earth. They want to know about this family called the Waltons. They are the only planet that haven't had the privilege of getting to know the Waltons. If you like, you could describe to them the Waltons in your own words, and or what episode and or movie would you present to them to introduce them to this iconic family? That's a fascinating question. I'm so glad that you like my interviews with people. I have such a good time, and I enjoy just letting the conversation go where it goes. And because if I feel like I already know something about someone, then yeah, I can guide them and you can learn more. And I like that to happen too. But I like when I get to learn something new as well. So I have some fun with it, and I'm glad that you indulge me in my curiosity. As for the Waltons and people from Pluto, I kind of thought about that, and I thought the Easter story would be a great episode to present to them because it really introduces the dynamics of all of the characters, and it shows the tight bonds, and it shows the way that they have to struggle through adversity and how their bonds and their faith really helps them get through that, how the community pulls together. So I thought that was a really good example of this family and who we were. But I thought in terms of a brief explanation that I would say it was a family of 3 generations living in a rural area during difficult financial times. They lived a simple life, had a family lumber business, all pulled together to support their family and help their community. They had integrity, strength, compassion, and tolerance for others. So I hope you would find that as a good representation of how you see the Waltons. This is from Mutt, who said, love all your videos, interviews, behind the scenes, ask Judy. I have a question for you. Could you do a behind the scenes about the Walton House? Was it built for the Waltons, or was it used before you all moved into it? As I have seen it on Gilmore Girls as well as Charlie's Angels, some episode I think called Angels in Chains. Hopefully you've seen the recent house segments that I have done. I covered a 2-part about the house, and then I also did something about the shed. And so have been trying to cover some of the various different sets involved with the show. But yes, you're absolutely correct. It was used on other shows, including things like Mayberry RFD, where it was the house used on that series. This question is from Randall Sansone, who said, I'm sure glad you were able to go back and review this exceptional episode. I love the addition of Ronnie Claire Edwards as Corbeth. I love how Grandma reacted to her arriving at the house. This was in regards to the matchmakers. And doing absolutely nothing to help out, etc. You did your usual thorough and interesting job. Thanks again for letting us know who the guest actors were. Did you ever think of doing a separate show highlighting the lives and careers of some of the guest stars? Segments on Lynn Hamilton, Marie Earle, John Crawford, Lynn Carlin, etc. As it turns out, I actually have done that on a few different people. Now, Mark Dykstra also had this question, really enjoyed hearing about Joe Connolly. Would you have enough content to talk about Nora Marlowe at some point? I always enjoyed her character on the Waltons. I know she had quite a career as well. So both people with an interest in some of our recurring characters and guest stars and things like that. So if you have not seen them, I did a recent segment on Nora Marlowe. I have covered Ronnie Claire Edwards, Joe Connolly, Mary Jackson and Helen Klebe, who played the Baldwin sisters, William Wyndham, who was in The Homecoming, Lynn Hamilton, Hal Williams. Hal Williams was a guest with me. So I have done a number and am looking at doing some more in the future. So I hear you, and I'm working on it. And then Susan Witsofsky said, could you talk about what kind of and years of the vehicles? And so I'm hoping that you had a chance to see the recent segment that I did all about a bunch of the vehicles and even motorcycles that we saw on the Waltons. Thank you for joining me for this segment of Ask Judy. I will see you next time for more behind the scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy. Thanks for watching.